Yeah, that's fine. Hello there everybody and welcome to rounds 4, 5 and 6 of Season 2 of the BSR Carrera Cup here on BSR TV live on YouTube. My name is Scott Woodwist and I'll be guiding you through all the action solo tonight. No help with the comms, but not a problem, always like a challenge. So getting ready to start race 1, a little bit delayed to getting started with the coverage, so apologies for that. But we are getting set for our first race of the evening, 16 laps of Lime Rock Park. A very short circuit situated in Lime Rock, Connecticut in the US. And the qualifying looks as follows. Ashley Sutton will be starting on pole position in car number 5 with Stefan Hug in car number 6 alongside him on the front row. Then Ian D. Smythe and Stanimir Zuzov will be on row number 2 with Matt Malone and Gary Tall on row 3. Row 4 is Jeroen Kieser and Tony Cederholm on row 4. And then rounding out the top 10, it's Richard Wild and William Butter. So a few cars getting onto the grid. Waiting for the revs to come up in a few moments' time as we get the cars gridded, ready for the start. Here come the revs. First 16 laps underway in a few seconds. Lights are out now and we are racing at Lime Rock Park, and a decent start. Look at that from Ian D. Smythe, trying to shoot the gap between Sutton and Hug. Doesn't find any room, and in fact Sutton will get the better whole shot into turn 1, and he does indeed lead into the first corner. It is Sutton who leads, from Hug in second and then Smythe in third as they make their way towards the first couple of the corners. And as the top two really start to try and pull away, but Sutton with a great start. And Hug in front, apologies. Hug is actually the one that's leading in second. And with Sutton in second place, and already it seems that Ian D. Smythe holding on to third place for the moment, down the no-name straight and up towards the top of the circuit for the first time. And already Sutton's giving Hug the big hurry up towards the right-hander as they come towards the end of the first of 16 laps. The field piles its way through. It's certainly looking all close, fast and furious through the first couple of corners. Back towards the end of lap 1 then, and it is Sutton who leads by how much of a gap as they come across the line, we'll find out. And the gap between them is 0.2 of a second. Smythe in third from Matt Malone in fourth position after a great effort off the grid. Then Stanimir Zuzov down to fifth, Gary Tall sixth after a poor start, and then Wild, Michael Stephen, Dion Phillips and Jeroen Kieser at the top 10 at the end of the first lap. So the field runs its way through the first few corners, back onto the no-name straight. A very short lap here at Lime Rock Park, but there is so many elevation changes, and it's such an awesome circuit to watch racing on despite its short length. And Hook continues to lead as they head over second time, and Sutton really looking as though he wants to redeem himself after that poor start. Ian D. Smythe in third place in the 06 car, and then Matt Malone with a wonderful effort so far in fourth position. If you want to catch the races, we've got a car slow on the exit of the final corner heading into the pits. Can't quite see who that is. Maybe our cameraman could possibly film in on that one. But heading into turn 1 once again, no major change in the top 10 position as Sutton continues to hound Stefan Hug. It's car 6 from car 5 in first and second. And Matt Malone, of course, if you want to get a live stream of exactly what he sees from this race, he is streaming live on Twitch. Showdown 1983 for his onboard feed to watch that one. But he's currently doing himself proud and all of his viewers and subscribers proud in 4th position and possibly on the verge of getting himself a podium place if he can stay close enough to Ian D. Smythe to make a pass. So we're on lap 3 now of 16 and Hook's starting to pull away slightly to head towards the end of the lap and back onto the pit straight once again. Let's quickly look back behind to see Gary Tall in 6th position in the number 11 machine. Richard Wilde in 7th place, and then Michael Stephen in 8th. Couple of cars coming back out of the pits. I can see in front, I think, is that Matt Malone bit under attack from Stanimir Zuzov in 4th and 5th places. He did make a move up the inside, but Malone had the line covered, and just behind Gary Tall in the 11 is doing well enough to remain in front of Richard Wilde. Key thing about Lime Rock Park is that there's not too many passing spots. If you do manage to find a way through, quite a golden opportunity if one comes up, and passing places here at Lone Rock Park are few and far between, so you have to find yourself very fortunate if you can find a place to pass. Now I think, looking at what's happened with the guys in 4th and 5th, he is still in 4th place but coming under serious pressure from Zuzov down towards turn 1. Zuzov in the number 134 machine, just holding on. Trying to make a move around the outside, but of course this is all allowing both Gary Tall and Richard Wilde to close in majorly, and he's now starting to form a little bit of a train. Just on the back of that, I'm sure we'll also see Michael Stephen in the 305 also join up. Top 3 starting to pull away slightly. Still Stefan Hug who leads, from Ashley Sutton in 2nd and Andy Smythe in 3rd. Is Zuzov running wide as they head up towards the hump, and this has now put Gary Tall right underneath his rear wing. Head now underneath the bridge and back towards the final corner on to the pit straight once again. So we head down the pit straight once more, and Malone, thanks to the mistake that Zuzov made up at the top of the circuit, has now been allowed to pull a small gap. Zuzov has managed to gather up his momentum once again, and he is chasing hard, and had a couple of changes down near the just outside the top 10. I've just seen a change between, I think, Cyril Thomas in the 888 and Tony McCallum in the 33. Also think there's been a change between possibly Laura Bond in the 32 and Daryl Taylor in the 22. Stephen Hefford and Benjamin, in fact Stephen Hefford is, someone has dropped down, Benjamin Gregory's dropped down a few spots to 28 in the 613, so a few changes down the order. As for the cars that are suffering down, in fact I think Benjamin Gregory is actually in the pits and he's had some troubles at some point during the pack. Obviously must have got caught up in the midfield with an incident of some kind, but quite a few cars at least a lap down. Marcus Naris is the very unfortunate man. Of course he's one of our regulars at BSR TV in terms of commentary. He's on racing duties tonight, and unfortunately he's had some rather bad luck, and he does find himself down at the back of the pack, 2 laps down on these guys at the front. So back towards the leaders, and Hug still leads, but Ashley Sutton is certainly keeping him honest. But Ashley Sutton is due to make his racing debut in the British MSA Formula 4 Championship, which is part of the TOCA package. First round, of course, this weekend at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. So, of course, we wish Ashley all the best, and of course, he's racing in a car not too dissimilar to another form of support race. We see there was a car on the exit of turn 1 as Sutton now looks to move towards the inside, change from the lead into turn 1. Sutton gets his nose up the inside and is into the lead, despite the fact he started on pole position, then got that poor start. Hug was able to get the better launch and force his way in front by turn 1. And it's taken him 7 laps. Finally, Ashley Sutton has found a way through. So now the question is, with traffic just in front of them, how is Ashley and Stefan both going to cope with the pressure here? Sutton landed off that jump rather askew. And that has just unsettled the car a little bit, and that keeps Hug in the fight for the lead. And Sutton getting a little bit held up, I think, by Benjamin Gregory. That's the man who was just in the pits that we were talking about, dropping down the order. And all that's now allowed Hug to get a great run down the pit strip. What do you make the save? Moving to turn 1, does think about it, but Sutton just quickly closes the door and prevents Hug from getting himself through. More back markers. And just intriguingly enough, Ian D. Smythe has dropped it back a little bit. And of course now separating him and these two at the front is of course the back marker Benjamin Gregory. Just behind Zuzov is now up to 4th place. He has gone around Matt Malone in the 007. Then we've got Gary Tall still in 6th position, Michael Stephen in 7th, so those 4 still in close proximity to each other. And a small change in the bottom end of the top 10. Dion Phillips 8th, Johan Kaiser in 9th, and Michael Tada is now 10th in the number 181 machine. Tony McCallum and Cyril Thomas in 11th and 12th, Michael Hornby in 13th in the 56. And looking back down to the bottom of the field, any more laps cars, there's some time marked on the exit of the final corner, so someone has lost it big time. As we now try to continue to look back towards the leaders, if we can find them. Here they are. And look at Stefan Hug, really is giving Ashley Sutton a run for his money at the moment, keeping him honest at least, but this is the difficult thing. We talked about passing opportunities, never mind that, but at the moment it's passing opportunities not for position, but to actually even lap them. The prime spot is going to be down towards turn 1. Look at Ashley Sutton catching air off the top of the hump. We come up towards the end of lap 10, back mark is quickly moving out of the way. And he does quickly properly get out of the way. Look at the traffic in front of him. Ashley Sutton must be looking at this thinking, my goodness, how do I get through all of this? There's 5 lapped cars in front. Oh, and he got very sideways. Sutton outbrakes himself. Straight off onto the grass. Now, what caused that? Was it a bump under braking? Did the car snap? Well, we're not sure, but he has dropped back now to 3rd position. Now, that really was most unusual. Ashley Sutton looked pretty comfortable, and there's a couple of cars that are, well, the cars coming back back across the grass. When I'm rather struggling, it possibly looked at the wrist, snapped under braking, and it just threw the car sideways, and quick reflexes from Sutton prevented it from heading straight into the barriers. But he has dropped to 3rd position, which has now almost gifted the race lead and almost certainly the race victory to Stefan Hug. But of course now his dilemma is he has 4 lapped cars in front of him, and they're about to go 3 wide in front of him, and that is the way. Oh, contact, and the lapped car actually gets hit by Stefan Hug. It's damaged, and Andy Smythe just avoids him as we've got a car sideways across the track. That was a heart-stopping moment, and of course that will have caused damage, and Ian D. Smythe must certainly smell blood. There's another car up into the barriers as well. He's going back across the track, and Ashley Sutton, my goodness, he was so hitting him. Absolute pandemonium in the back markers here at Lime Rock Park in race 1. And this really has changed the complexion of the race. Stefan Hug, it looked for a moment that he had this all his own way, and another lapped car goes across the infield grass to move out of the way of the leaders. But Stefan Hug looked as though he had this all sewn up, and it only takes one mistake by a back marker to change the complexion of this race. And Ian D. Smythe now sits only just 8.5 tenths of a second back from the number 6, with a chance of possibly getting a victory. Hug kicks up some dust on the exit of turns 1 and 2. And more lap traffic in front of him to try and deal with. And Smythe certainly must be sensing a chance at some point. For about 3.5 laps to go, including the one they're on. 16 lap race, and we're on lap 13, over the hump again. Hug continuing to lead. The gap between Hug and Ashley Sutton. Oh, look at the lap traffic, another car stationary, and Hug is getting bolted. Eventually finds a way through. Smythe, will he follow him through? Yes, just about. So much going on here. And Smythe has a nice little run down the pit straight. He'll close, but he won't get close enough to make a move into turn 1. But certainly with everything that's going on in front, Hug must certainly be keeping one eye in front on the traffic and the others firmly in his mirrors. And Sutton's charging too. Despite the incident, his car's in much better condition than Hug's is. More cars off on the infield. And that's he's getting bopped by one of the cars that was trying to look to see who he is lapping at the back. And Ian D. Smythe is all over the back of him. This is heart-wrenching, this is heart-stopping stuff. Oh, someone's got off one of the lap cars. Loses it, another car bouncing across the infield, and it's Ashley Sutton. Ashley Sutton has gone off in 3rd position. I think he was collected by that lapped car, and I think who can blame him, because I think he came straight over the crest and straight off. Must have slammed straight into the side of that lapped car that spun right at the top of the crest, and it's such a blind entry that you just cannot see if anything's happening across the top until you reach it. And unfortunately, this race has gone what could have been a race victory from bad to worse. And poor Ashley Sutton will find himself with 0 points, at least. Well, he's in the pits right now to get himself repaired, but of course he'll start to tumble down the order Depending on how long these repairs will take, he may find himself possibly a lap down. So, whilst Ashley Sutton rues his luck, Stefan Hug holds on. But, as we are on lap 15 of 16, does Ian D. Smythe have any more left in the tank? Any more tricks up his sleeve to try and grab this race win? On to the last lap then they come. For the last 1.53 miles of Lime Rock Park, 7 more turns will define who wins the first race of this evening. Is it going to be Stefan Hug or will it be Ian D. Smythe? 6 or 0-6? Who's it going to be? Through turns 1 and 2. And Hug, despite carrying substantial damage on the front end of that rough, is somehow finding enough pace to remain in the lead. Another car pulling off onto the infield, and rightly so. Can't quite tell who that is. And we can see, oh, there's a car upside down as well. There's so much going on. More lap traffic gets in the way. Ashley Sutton back in, I'm reading 16th place. In fact, further down than that. But meanwhile, back up at the front, despite everything that's happened, Stefan Hug will exit the final corner. He will take the advantage and the momentum heading into races 2 and 3. He wins a chaotic race 1 here at Lime Rock Park. Ian D. Smythe holding on to 2nd place. And amazingly, despite the fact that he's come quite amazingly through the field, Michael Stephen will be the man that, just I think, held on to 3rd place. I didn't see that was such a close finish to the line, but they're separated literally across the line by 12 1/1000ths of a second for 3rd place. Matt Malone came so close to a podium, but just missing out. Dion Phillips. It was Dion Phillips, in fact. So what happened to Matt Malone? Matt Malone. No, it was both of them, sorry. So Michael Stephen was 3rd, Matt Malone was 4th, and then Dion Phillips 5th. Jeroen Kaiser up to 6th place despite all his troubles. Tony McCallum 7th. Michael Hornby in 8th. Cyril Thomas in 9th. And Nick McCarron rounds out the top 10. 11th place for Jose Almeida. Laura Bond in 12th place. Fantastic drive from Laura to keep it on the road whilst everyone else was substantially off it. To hold 12th place in the 32. Credit to Laura. Well, fantastic job from her. 30th place for Michael Tadder, who dropped out of the top 10. Darryl Taylor was 14th, with Stephen Hefford 15th. Ashley Sutton, despite his poor start, got himself back into the race lead and then just outbraked himself at turn 1. Didn't quite catch to see exactly what caused it, but then his instant with a back marker just a couple of laps from home means he has to settle for 16th after lengthy repairs in the pits. Romain Boutellier is 17th, Robert Plumley 18th, Tony Sederholm 19th, and in 20th place, rounding out the top 20 and the highest placed driver to be glapped was number 12 Ellis Stevens, and he rounds out those in the top 20. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the rather brief but always entertaining race 1 here at Lime Rock Park. We've still got 2 more races left to go. The second race will be taking place at roughly around 9:30. That's when we'll start the broadcast. So in order to be ready for that, click back onto the main BSR TV YouTube page, click for race 2, which will be, of course, round 5. And until then, I've been Scott Woodwis, and we'll catch you in a few minutes for race 2.